always attracted to him in some way because he's so important to her. She cares what he thinks, and she wouldn't take him on as a sort of sparring partner if she weren't impressed by him and by his presence, even though she does think it's ridiculous. So there's always an attraction there, it's just that it's the flip side.
Certainly when I was first producing this, whenever I went out and people asked me what I was doing and I said Pride and Prejudice, they said, "Who's your Elizabeth? Who's your Darcy?" And if you would suggest possible names, they'd say, "Oh, no, can't possibly have that person," or "You absolutely have to use this actor. He is Darcy." So it was pretty frightening.
The Never Feel Bore is an absolutely crucial sort of occasion, and occasions like this didn't come very often in the lives of young women. Whole things about their lives got settled there, whether they actually got the man that they wanted, whether they got any man at all.
I believe we must have some conversation, Mr. Darcy. A very little will suffice. You should say something about the dance, perhaps. I might remark on the number of couples.
You talk by rule, then, when you're dancing?
Yes, sometimes it is best. Then we may enjoy the advantage of saying as little as possible.
These English country dances that you see in Pride and Prejudice, they are superb, beautiful English dances that were danced in the country houses and in the court. And Mr. Beveridge's Maggot is a supreme example of that. And it has this harmony which almost reflects the architecture of the time, the furniture of the time, the landscape gardening of the time. There's a classical, harmonious figure dance. And there is a reflection in their relationship, Elizabeth and Darcy, because they are playing out something too, where they come together, they go away, they come together. They're sort of drawn back into the centre all the time.
We each have an unsocial, taciturn disposition. I'm willing to speak unless we expect to say something that will amaze the whole room.
This is no very striking resemblance of your own character, I'm sure.
There's almost an intellectual fight between them. At the same time as that's going on, there's something totally harmonious happening between them physically. Their bodies are speaking over and above their text, really, even without them knowing it. You should feel when you look at the dance that these are two people who are going to, at some point, really get on extremely well.
We know what the ending is like. There's a kind of inevitability, and once the inevitability happens, you lose narrative thrust. You lose some of the need to see it through. So one must hold it back, restrain, right into the last minute. The beauty of the love between Darcy and Elizabeth, that it is held back almost to the last moment. They're too proud and prejudicial, if you like, to express that earlier on. Editing, of course, is extraordinarily important, and you can change the whole focus of a scene simply by staying on one shot 1 second longer than another. I mean, I'll give you an example of simply holding on looks. Well, another scene, if you like, is going on around these two people, is when Darcy invites them over for an evening. While they're playing, they talk about how generous Darcy is, and she gradually begins to realise that this is not this rather aloof and proud man that she thought he was. He, in fact, has a side to him which is intriguing her immensely. Of course, she's, again, in the process of falling in love. So she looks over towards him, and he looks over towards her, and it's the timing of the shots between the two of them. Too long in either way would have made it self-conscious, but it's not. As far as music concerned, what you do, in a sense, is provide something which is not said or seen in terms of the visual action, but something more abstract, which is thought and hinted at. Now, you can ruin it by making it too strong, too obvious, but you can help it by just, in some mysterious way, keep it going in a romantic sense. We hear Georgiana playing, and the music segues into a love theme, which takes over.
I think it's simply the best love story that I know. I've read it now hundreds of times, but every single time I wait to see if Elizabeth and Darcy are going to get together. I still suspend my disbelief until that moment, and I long for it to work out.
I think most of us who have watched Pride and Prejudice are asking ourselves, what would the author have thought about this? And rather wishing we could sit down with her and watch it with her. I think after she'd got over her amazement that the thing could be done at all, I think she'd be pretty well satisfied.
For schools and colleges, there's a special video pack. For details of price and availability, see CFAX page 624 or ring 0181 746 1111.